brick. Ouch. Ow. Oh, there was a so do you know that song Stairway to Heaven?
Yes, I do know that song.
I've heard of it. I heard about that. That's a Gregorian chant kind of thing. Right?
You guys are such fucking smart asses. Where is it? So there's a lyric in that song that's could be ripped right out of Carl Jung, and it goes. And as we wind on down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show how everything still
turns to gold.
That's it. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last. When all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. That is very. If you go through those lyrics, and as we wind,
Keaton, I told you we could get Jimmy to sing on a video. We were talking about doing a Christmas parody this year.
Oh, really? I would love to. And as we wind on down the road, Rob Schneider sent me a video of him singing. I'll play it for you. And as we wind on down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. Very Jungian. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show how everything still turns to gold. That's psychic gold. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last when all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. That was sent to me by the guy who hosts the Peniel podcast.
Watch your mouth.
So this is one of the reasons that I cannot listen to the current pop music, because I came up at a time when we really valued lyrics. That lyrics are really based in this tradition of like very elaborate poetry, and that was part of the whole experience of listening to an album, was digging into the lyrics and deciphering the meaning and the underlying thing. I mean, you can't really do that with what's being written now.
Oh, are you
there's no subtext.
There's no good song. I don't know about the kids today, but there's no good music out there, really? Did it all die with Kurt Cobain? You're telling me that the rap lyrics aren't interesting?
At its best,
little wet ass pussy.
That's what I was thinking.
What's the subtext of that? Is it a double meaning?
Well, yes, most of it I find kind of like that. But even at its best, it's not. To me, it's not music. It's poetry. It's that's the kind of thing that the beatniks used to do with like a bass and a guy playing piano under it. You're reciting poetry. That's not really music. It's like a poetry slam that you're really doing with some musical accompaniment.
And that's all over?
At best.
You're saying that's all over now that we lost Celine Dion?
Yeah. Well, they've actually done studies of this.
Really?
The music that they are writing now is much less musically complex. There are a lot less changes. It doesn't travel as much. And that's because corporations completely took over the music industry. And now these people like Taylor Swift, it's a product.
Yes,
like Janis Joplin would never get a record contract today. She was too weird. She was too quirky. Now they take somebody like Taylor Swift or Katy Perry and they construct them. I mean, you could, and I think in the future you will, and some writers like William Gibson have speculated on this, you'll eventually have artificial intelligence pop stars, because you might as well. I mean, why? They're already doing it with models. They've created an AI model they're making a fortune off of.
Oh, no kidding?
Oh, yeah. And they said it's great. You don't have to deal with the temperament, with being late, with the emotional mood swings. And yeah, no, they're making a fortune with this AI model because the technology has gotten to the point that it looks photorealistic. You really can't tell the difference. So I think in the future, yeah, you'll have AI generated pop stars, because what would the difference really be between that and a Taylor Swift. You might as well just create it with an AI.
But, you know, I mean, so you're telling me that, I mean, my favorite has got to be, you know, Justin Bieber, but the early stuff.
Yeah.
Before he,
the early stuff.
Before
he sold out.
That's right. No, what is hot? I don't even know what's hot right now anymore. Did you? Oh, that Harry Styles?
Time Magazine named Taylor Swift Person of the Year, so I guess
yeah,
that's the big thing.
Taylor Swift is definitely having a moment.
So, but she does have talent, though, right? But she just writes things that are vapid. I don't know. I don't listen to.
Yeah,
her.
I mean,
more commercial.
She's a good she's a good pop songwriter. Like that those, you know, pop songwriters have always been among us. Like there's a certain craft to writing catchy pop tunes, and she writes catchy pop tunes. Like,
and she's an entertainer.
I think the advent of streaming, in a way, it has really made all kinds of music available to us, but in a certain sense, I think it made a narrower scope of music profitable for the record companies, because the streaming model just isn't the same as printing CDs and selling them, right? Well, like, actually, now you have to get, like, I forget what the numbers are. I looked into this once, but like the amount of plays you have to generate on these streaming platforms to bring in money for the labels is so high that unless you are a Taylor Swift, unless it's real mass market material, it's just tough to bring in money that way. That's why now, I mean, and just generally speaking, all these bands have to tour now. Like it used to be, like in the 90s, 2000s, a band would make an album every 3 years. They'd tour with the album, and then that was it. They didn't have to keep going out on the road every year. You know, they would make money off an album for 3 years. That's not the case anymore, except for the real stars like the Ed Sheerans and the Taylor Swifts. And they are all kind of the same in the sense that, yeah, they're good at what they do. They write catchy tunes. Ed Sheeran writes catchy tunes. But you don't get those Zeppelin type artists anymore, or like a Pink Floyd. Forget it. You would never see a new Pink Floyd.
Frank Zappa, I'll send this.
Or Zappa too, obviously. Yeah.
Frank Zappa did a really interesting interview where he talked about this, and he said, you know, back in those days, you had the old cigar chomping guy. You know, you had Sid there who ran the record company, and they didn't understand this music at all. They didn't really like this music, but they would say, you know what, kid? We'll do a run of 5,000, run it up the flagpole and see who salutes.
Right.
And maybe it would sell and maybe it wouldn't. He said, now you've got all these kids with music degrees that they'll hire at these record companies, and they have a very clear idea of what they want you to do and what they want you to be. And you would think that it would improve the music to have people with a background in music making these decisions, but you were actually much better off with the cigar chomping guys who didn't understand what the hell you were doing.
Well, so you're telling me that there isn't a depth to Post Malone?
That's what I'm suggesting. I know. Yo, you got those Swifties, man. They're out there. You know, you come for Taylor Swift, some people get really butthurt about it.
I was on a plane to Las Vegas, and half the plane was going to a Taylor Swift concert that night. And
really?
It was one of the. It turned out there was a rainstorm. We got diverted to Phoenix, and everybody missed their concert, and they were not happy. But
that's like God knows how many thousands of dollars down the drain.
I was going to see.
I was just reading an article about how, you know, and Taylor Swift, like, she didn't just get there on merit. Her parents are very rich.
Oh, really?
They were flying her back and forth to Nashville. Her father bought a piece of the record company that first signed her.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. Oh, she totally is a trust fund kid.
I was upset because I had tickets to see Chris Angel Mind Freak. And
oh, really?
I couldn't get the app to let me sell them to someone else. And anyway, yeah, I had to eat those. Yeah, I like magic. There's a guy. Oh, I saw a thing where a guy gives away all the. I always like close-up magic, and then there's a video now on like a YouTube short where the guy's showing all the tricks, and I'm like, don't do that. You're ruining it. One time I worked with this guy in Vegas. What was his name? Matt King.
You're not supposed to do that. That's against the code. They'll cut your thumbs off for that.
Hey, Jimmy, have you ever gone to that Magic Castle in L.A.?
I certainly have. I have some fun stories about it.
My cousin is a member because he's like an amateur magician, so he took us there when we were last in LA, and yeah, it was fun.
You have to wear a suit coat still.
Yeah, it's dress code. Yeah,
which I like. Keeps out the riffraff, and it was funny. I like to go in the small rooms. I went to a bunch of different rooms. I went there with Jenk and Ben Mankiewicz one time.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was a bit of fun.
It was magical.
Thank you for the Magic Castle. It was a little stressful because there are a lot of lines to catch the shows, and the theaters are so small. So like, it's a lot of like line jumping. Like, oh, quick, we got to run upstairs to get on this line because they only seat 20 for the card show or whatever. But it was fun. It was cool.
Close-up magic.
I realized that it turns out there's hacky magicians just like there's hacky comedians. And they all do. There's a lot of them do the same tricks, and they do the same jokes. And so I went into this one room, and it had like stadium seating, but there was only like maybe 40 people in it. And in the back row you stood. So I was there, and I was standing in the back row. And this guy comes out to do the magic, and he's limping. And he said, "I apologize for my limp. I was coming out of an IHOP this morning, and I blew out my ankle stepping off a curb." And okay. And then he says, "Hi, I need a volunteer." Now I'm already a professional comedian at that time, and he says, he points to me. He goes, "Hey, sir, why don't you?" And I go, "No, you don't. I don't." And 'cause I don't have to play along with this show. And he's like, "Oh, come on!" And he gets. And so then I don't want to be that guy either. Who I'm like, I'm being a stick in the mud. Yeah. So I go up there, and I'm standing there, and then he does this trick, which I had seen two other guys that night do. Where he says to the lady, says, "Can I? Oh, that's a beautiful diamond ring. Can I have that diamond ring?" And he takes it and he puts it in his pocket. He goes, "Oh, it's back on your finger." And the crowd goes, "Oh!" And the lady says, "No, it's not." And the guy says, "Yeah, but I could do that. That'd be a great trick, huh?" And that's like a line that I had already heard two times. That same thing I'd seen twice already that night. And so I couldn't bite my tongue. And I go, he goes, "Yeah, but if I could do that, it was a great trick." I go, "No, if you could do that, you wouldn't be eating at IHOP." Yeah. And I got a huge laugh. And I had stolen this show from him. And he looked at me and goes, "Oh, you're really funny. I bet you're really funny at work, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah, I am. And it turns out I'm pretty funny at your work, too." And another big laugh. And oh, boy, he couldn't get me the hell off that stage fast enough. So, yeah, but I do enjoy going there. I do enjoy magic. But Cenk Uygur he took it a little too serious. "You're sawing her in half. You're an animal." Anyway. But I worked with this guy, Matt King, and he did this one trick. And I shouldn't have said his name. Shit. I don't want to tell you how he does the trick. But he used to have this trick where he would bring somebody out of the audience and he would say, before he let him go, he goes, "Hey, you know what? Tell me what's your favorite drink?" And the guy would say, a Bud Light or whatever. And he would go up, and he would make a Bud Light appear. And every night I'm like, "How do you do that?" And he would go, "Jimmy, you don't want to know." And I was like, "I really do want to know." And he wouldn't let me. He wouldn't tell me. And then so the last night, I don't know how I got him to do it, but he finally. And now I feel like a jerk because I can't tell because I don't want to give his trick away. But he told me, and I was like, "That's how you do it?" I'm like, "Oh God, I have no respect for you." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I know you didn't want to know." You do not want to know how they do it. It's.
Oh, I do though. I mean, I know you can't say it now because people are watching. Maybe you can tell Russ when he's there, and Russ can text me, and then I can throw my phone away. I'll smash my phone under a rock after he texts me. But because the mind reading stuff is always what gets me. Like the David Blaine stuff. Yeah. Like that always is what freaks me out.
Oh yeah, the mentalist stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the dollar bill in the orange. You figure, okay, I mean it's impressive that you got the dollar bill in the orange, but I know you just stuffed the dollar bill in the orange somehow. Like there's no mystery. I mean it's an impressive physical feat to do that, but I understand that's what you must have done. The mental stuff is crazy.
Yeah, and when they're sawing the girl in half, she actually literally does have her legs scrunched up into one box.
Yeah.
That's how
Well,
that's actually how they
everyone kind of knows how that's done at this point.
I didn't.
I was working a cruise ship one time, and with which I got fired from, and a juggler. And the juggler told me I don't know, I think I might have insulted him. I'm like, well, you're just like magicians, right, or whatever. And comedians don't have much respect for any of those things, and but I do. And he told me, he said, if I wasn't a juggler, he says most magicians, if they weren't magicians, would be car salesmen, but most jugglers would be mathematicians. And I was like, I really? And then you think about it, like most magicians I knew would be salesmen, that's for sure. But anyway, yeah, got fired from that gig. Anyway,
you were bothering the juggler too much. What?
I said some shit during the show you're not supposed to say. Anyway, so but I wasn't made for cruise ships. It worked out for me, though. Anyway, who cares? This isn't a podcast. I think I'm done for today. You did you have fun today? Did you enjoy coming on? Hey, by the way, I tell you, we're gonna have. I did tell you, Alex Jones this Thursday at 12:15, and then the big show this Saturday. But it's already sold out. Why do I even mention it? Why do I keep doing it? Just to rub it in people's faces that they can't come. And we're gonna have Jackson the Hair Hinkle.
You don't have a waiting list?
Do we have a waiting list, Misha?
Oh no.
No.
Oh, no. Are you kidding? That's not going to happen.
No, that's what she said. So it's only 60 seats. If there were more seats, maybe we would have a. And then we're going to Venice West. There's this place called the Venice West Theater in Venice, California. I didn't know there's only 92 seats there. Did you know that? I thought there was like I like small venues. It'll be fun, but I didn't know. I didn't know it was that small. It's almost not worth driving. Like, what? I could do a fucking 60-seat theater down the street from my house. I got to drive to Venice to do this. But anyway, it'll be fun because our Steph's brother-in-law, is he my brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Our brother-in-law is Diana Nyad's sister. Lives down there, and so they're going to come to the show. I want to meet I was supposed to go to a party at their house because I just watched that Nyad starring, what's her name?
Annette Bening.
Annette Bening. Have you guys seen that?
And Jodie Foster.
I didn't see it.
Oh boy, you got to see it.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix.
That woman is, in the best way possible, she is a beast of all beasts. So when she was 28, she was an Olympic swimmer. She tried to swim from Cuba to Florida, right? She couldn't do it. She didn't do it. She turned 60. She gets a bug up her ass. I think I could do it. What? Do you know how long you have to swim? You know how long it takes to swim from Cuba to Florida?
What is that about?
I'm gonna say a week.
It takes 60 hours of nonstop swimming. So that's 2.5 days non-stop swim. 2.5 days.
I can't do anything for 2.5 days.
2.5 days. How do you, without the sleep? For 2.5 days, I'd be going crazy. And then she gets stung by jellyfish.
It's quite a feat.
It is.
So 60 hours. That's what is 100 miles, 90 miles. It's a little less than 100 miles.
I think it's a little less than 100 miles. Yeah. And she did, and she decides to do it when she's 60. And she does it. I don't want to ruin the movie, but it's already was a news story, so it's not like we don't know how the movie ends. But she does it. Anyway, I can't wait to meet her. And they had.
So she's coming to your show.
We should try to get her.
Okay.
Try to get her to the show. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get her. But there was a party. They threw a party. But I was sick. I couldn't go when she was there. I was so bummed. I wanted to meet her. There's so few people I still want to meet. I would like to meet her.
A lot of the people I wanted to meet are dead now.
Yeah. I got to meet Russ and Keaton, so that worked out.
Yep.
Those are big days of my life.
We're still kicking.
Yeah.
That was the high point, right?
Yeah.
It's all been downhill from there.
It's all been downhill. All right, everybody, check out Do Dissidence. They're on YouTube. They're on Rockfin, and Russ actually writes articles at Substack. No kidding. If you feel like reading,
I have one.
Yeah, come read.
About to drop. You're gonna love, Jimmy.
What is it?
I finally started this and stopped it many times. My analysis of what the hell happened to the art scene and how it all went MSNBC shitlib.
Boy, did it. My quick analysis would be they tricked people into thinking fighting Trump was fighting Hitler and Nazism and fascism, and it's not. You're actually fighting on behalf of fascism and the corporation, and that's the weird thing. They got tricked. The corporation tricked them, right?
Well, I think it's something Catherine Liu, your great guest, got into in her book. The PMCs used to have better values. The PMCs used to be more grounded in FDR, New Deal, class consciousness.
Right.
Even though they were the professional class, they saw part of their duty as being to help the working class and to be very conscious of the nobility of labor and to help labor. So the artists are basically PMCs, they've always been PMCs.
Professional. Tell people what that means. PMC,
the professional managerial class, and you have these in every society. The Romans called them the equestrian class. They're the petite bourgeoisie. They're the people who are under the elites but above the working class, and they have this makes them very easy to control because they have just enough to have something to lose and not enough to be able to take a stand. So you had this moment where the society was oriented more around FDR kind of ideas, and that was their orientation. And so at that time, the artists were better. They were better because the PMCs were better. Now that the PMCs have just become Trump deranged, MSNBC addled shit libs, so have the artists. But when you look at an arts community like that, it's doubly pointless because what the hell are you there for? You're supposed to be a dissenting voice. You're supposed to be somebody questioning things like, what is your purpose? Why are you there? What are you doing?
So when I saw comedians become the COVID narrative enforcer of the establishment, that's
all the worst comedians I know were in the arts.
Yes, and they still are. Like we were. Yep. Did I tell you this? So Steph likes Billy Crudup, and we saw him last time we went to New York. By the way.
Okay.
And we saw him. We bumped into him at a place having tea, and but he's doing a play up here. One person up in Berkeley, and Steph was going to go see it. So she looked up masks required. Boo! Masks required in 2023. Masks required.
Well, they don't even do that on Broadway anymore.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, good.
No, you know what really killed me? All of these artists I saw were crazy for canceling Joe Rogan. They were all celebrating Neil Young. They were all applauding Neil Young for taking this brave stance.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck do you become a pro-censorship artist? How does that even happen? Much less for that to be seemingly a majority.
Because they have nothing to say.
That would take that position.
It's not just music that has nothing in the lyrics. It's the comedy. It's it's nothing. Yep. They have nothing to say.
Yep. Yep.
The comedy sucks. At least I saw Bill Burr on Jimmy Kimmel kind of stick it to him the other night. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, I should have played that on the show.
I like him though.
Maybe we play it Saturday.
What's that?
Maybe play it Saturday.
Oh, maybe I will play it Saturday. He said, yeah, you guys got a problem with that Donald Trump. Why don't you quit fucking talking about him? That's all you do. You can't stop fucking talking about him. It's like yes, everything. Oh, you liberals. He said liberals. Oh, you liberals. He said it right to Jimmy Kimmel. Why don't you quit fucking talking about him? Shut up. Just shut up.
Wow.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
it's so boring. And yeah, that's what you mean. They have nothing to say except just satisfy the audience, right? Like they exist to satisfy the audience right now. They exist to reassure the audience that they're good and smart and correct. And that's the death of art when you exist to satisfy the
Of
audience.
course.
You're supposed to surprise the audience. You're supposed to challenge the audience. Sometimes you're supposed to alienate the audience a little bit. You know, you're supposed to lose audience a little while, every once in a while. But yeah, it's
well
it's
now
easy and it's lazy.
They're afraid they're going to get canceled. I saw somebody I used to run a theater with. He got in the New York Times for fringe festivals. The ethos of a fringe festival is you're supposed to put on whatever you pulled out of the hat. It's like a lottery system.
Oh, really?
And that's part of the charm of it. You could get great shows alongside the most awful things you've ever seen. It's actually a rule. There's an international body of fringe festivals. And to qualify, to be able to call yourself a fringe festival, that's how you're supposed to do it, to officially be a fringe festival. And he decided not to allow one of the shows that won based on the rules of fringe festivals because the guy was questioning gender ideology. He was like a British comedian who had written kind of limericks and poems questioning gender ideology, and he canceled it. And the New York Times, of course, wrote a very supportive article, and he's saying they're going, well, it was just a no-brainer. We have queer people and trans people on our staff and involved, and of course we can't have this on a stage. And it just made me want to vomit to see that. Like, how did we get here? Like, what are you doing? What function are you serving? And it's not even like, I still wouldn't think it was justified, but I looked at this guy's work. It was pretty innocuous. Like, it wasn't like some kind of vicious attack. The guy was raising what to my mind were very appropriate questions. But you
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit